On match 2 of the card that at my very first show, which featured Hacksaw Jim Duggan, my first time seeing him live, taking on the largest guy I've ever seen. But granted, back then, we were in the old Boston Garden, and of course we had the upper deck seats, I guess you say, the balcony, if you would. Fortunately, we did not have one of the obstructive view seats. We actually had pretty decent seats for the balcony, but due to that, I didn't realize how big Andre the Giant really was until I saw him in the ring with Hacksaw. And here we go with this match, as it's Andre the Giant versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. The second match of the card. As you see, Andre, of course, with his, at that time, manager Bobby the Brain Heenan. It wouldn't be too long after that Andre would turn a little while later on Heenan, because Heenan, was nice enough to slap the Giant in the face for losing the tag titles that him and Haku lost to my personal favorite tag team, which are in action later on, which at that time were defending the WWF tag team titles against the Hart Foundation, the World Wrestling Federation tag team titles. WWE, sorry, no copyrights here. I don't own the rights to these things, and I'm just telling you how it is. This is how it was. So sorry, I don't want to get anyone upset, but that's what we called it back then, so there you go. So Hacksaw and Andre put on this match. Of course, now granted, now that I'm watching it, it was a lot different than it was when I saw it, but it was high-paced and it was hard-hitting. Duggan came at Andre with everything that he had. And then, but the Giant was just so big and so massive. I often wonder, how is this going to work? Because when you see someone walking to the ring and all that stuff is one thing, and then it's also when you see them on TV is one thing. When you see them, live. But of course, I judge people by how far they are in the ring, and of course back then, from the balcony, and you're 7 years old. Everyone's bigger than you anyway, so. But I could definitely tell the difference between the size of someone like Duggan and Andre. Duggan, by the way, wasn't small, and from years later I would actually get the chance to see Duggan even up close, and actually meeting Duggan, which I've had the opportunity to work with some of these guys over the years, and I'm honored to have that privilege to say that. Again, if it wasn't for these guys who paved the way for guys like me, I wouldn't even be in the ring or in the wrestling business, and there you go. So I owe a lot to them. And again, this is the very first live WW whatever show that I've watched. Again, this would be taking place in the Boston Garden, of course. The logos or whatnot are not what you would see at the Garden, but it is where I was. So here we see Andre with a nice butterfly suplex on Duggan. Which, by the way, believe it or not, Andre didn't do these moves. Of course, Andre in that time was in a lot of pain. Of course, I wouldn't really know a lot of that at 7 years old. I didn't do the backstories, but listening over the years to the minds of wrestling, over the years of learning and being a student of the game, and hearing and talking to some people who weren't around back in then, just knowing that the size of Andre was like incredible, but the fact that he was a legitimate giant in the ring, he kind of commanded respect, I guess, from everybody. And I think that Andre is someone who is a very, very well-known individual in the wrestling world. And Duggan, of course, is I don't think anybody who grew up in the 80s, 90s, probably doesn't know. You must know Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who grew up in the 80s and the 90s, like I did. He was the 2x4 wheeling guy. He was always very patriotic, very proud of his country. In fact, it would be a card later on, not this card, but it would be a card, soon after this in Boston. I would see Hacksaw Jim Duggan take on Dino Bravo in a flag-raising match, in which, unfortunately, due to the fact that I can only work with what matches they give me, I can't do a flag match here, but it was a match between Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Dino Bravo, the world's strongest man at that time, Dino Bravo. Canadian strongman. As Duggan gets a 2 count there on Andre, which he attempted to, but to be honest with you, I don't really remember Andre going down a hell of a lot during that match. But Duggan did bring it to him like he did in this right here. I think this will be interesting to do it now, where, you know, now we have the technology that we can see, you know, what would happen nowadays. But, I mean, it's funny that the first match, the result was exactly, you know, what it was. And Steve Lombardi did, in fact, beat Lenny Paco. So I'll be interested to see, actually, how much of this is actually stays true to what it was, that results. Do I remember the results? Yeah, I do. Because remember, I was crushed that, you know, going into this match, I was upset that, you know, Leap and Laney lost to that, you know, Steve Lombardi guy. And then, of course, this match, I said, Duggan has to beat Andre. You know, not knowing the old, you know, what was going on really back then at 7. Contrary to popular belief, unlike a lot of other kids back in the 80s, I think a lot of kids, if you would ask them back in the 80s who their favorite wrestlers were, they would tell you guys like, you know, the Warrior and Hogan, and, you know, those were their top guys, really, if you watch this particular brand. Of course, if you watch the other brand, maybe you were a Sting or a Dusty Rhodes fan, Ric Flair, Dusty, and whatnot, and Andre gets a 2 count. And I can also tell you that when you've seen Andre, it was very minimal what he would do as far as, you know, each match in between, but I gotta tell you, it's not about, you know, how much you move together, it's when you move, and there you see. And that is the result of what I saw, too. Except for the fact that Duggan grabbed the 2x4, got disqualified. So, yeah, Andre won by decision, by disqualification, but all honesty, Duggan put up a fight, but Andre ended up winning anyway, so. And there you see it again, Andre won. So this is quite the same, really. And getting up next, we're going to see the tag title match that I got to see, which featured my favorite tag team, and actually at that time one of my other secondary tag teams that is probably one of the best tag teams, I think, technically sound. And I know a lot of people are not overly fond of well, they are fond, but in all honesty, but a lot of people will debate about who the greatest tag team of all time is. I think when it comes to favorite wrestlers and so forth, I think that is kind of relative, and it's up to the individuals themselves who's better than who. I think that's up to the fans to decide. I don't think anyone can actually tell someone who the greatest is, because there's always going to be that debate who is better than who. In all honesty, as you see this action from earlier in the match. Now, granted, in a live show, by the way, as you guys already know, you guys have been to a live show, there is no, like, replays, of course. There's no TV, in fact. There, you see the, you know, replays here, but when you're there live, you don't get that. Sadly. You just kind of, this is what it is. You just see the result here is Andre almost pins Duggan there, but in the end, it was Andre who wins.
Winner, the 8th wonder of the world, Andre the Giant.
I think Andre the Giant earns a lot of props that he doesn't get a lot, and I think he deserves a heck of a lot more than he does. Because all honesty, if it wasn't for guys like Andre, the other popular guy, like I said, Hogan wouldn't really be much of anything, because it was for Andre and guys like him. Well, you'll see later how this progressed. And stick around as we get ready for the tag team title match that I got to say. Guys, stick around.